As we turn our attention to 141, Bryce Meredith of Wyoming and Anthony Ashnault of Rutgers. Ranked fourth in the country, a junior for Rutgers in the red singlets, and Bryce Meredith ranked number 2 in the country for Mark Branch and the Cowboys of Wyoming. Ashnault, 2-time All-American. He was 8th in 2015, 4th a year ago in New York. A 32-4 campaign for Ashnault, the Big Ten champion out of South Plainfield, New Jersey, the first ever unbeaten 4-time state champion in New Jersey. High school record of 170 wins and no losses. And this is the first time, Eric, these two have met. And this was one of the matchups that caught my eye when I saw the release.
And they're feeling out right now. Both guys doing a great job of pulling to their offense. No one's taken a shot yet, but they're just feeling each other out here in this first period. And as I was saying, this is a great test for Bryce Meredith early on in this season. We want to all see. I didn't mean to say was it deserved. What I meant to say was, can he do it again? Can he repeat the success that he had at the NCAA championships? Can he continue with that here in the 2016-17 season?
Had that phenomenal run as a 14 seed, was 29-5. He was 3rd at the Big 12s, and then came back a couple of weeks later and really made it happen when it counted most. He's a 4-time state champion from Central High School in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Out of high school, wrestled for North Carolina State. Nice shuck there, but great defense from Meredith, and Meredith on the board, 2-0. What a great scramble won by the Cowboy.
And that's what I mentioned earlier. You never know. You have to make sure that you finish your shots with crisp precision, because Bryce Meredith, he's funky.
Meredith, one of those guys where when you watch and it looks like he's 95% dead to rights, you better finish and get that last 5%. He's always in it with his scrambling ability. And what a run he had to that national final. Beat number 3 seed Kevin Jack, his former teammate for the Wolfpack. Beat Micah Jordan, the number 6 seed of Ohio State, and then Joey McKenna, the number 2 seed of Stanford, before dropping that 3-2 match to Heil. And another takedown for Meredith, leads it 4-1, 35 seconds left here in this first period.
And Ashnault, you have to adjust to that overtie shrug. He's overtie shrugged twice, and Bryce Meredith has passed it by every single time. You cannot continue to go back to that if you're getting taken down every time.
Matt return at the edge, and Meredith has picked up where he left off this past March. I'm impressed. 4-1, 2 takedowns in the first period, and this is big too. We talk about the battles within the battle. This is huge. 22 seconds. You got to get greedy. Point saved, point earned. Keep him down if you're Meredith, and of course, conversely, if you're Ashnault, you got to get one back here.
Caution on the top man for a false start.
And that's okay. I mean, that's okay. I've always thought bottom, top, use some of those cautions. Any little edge you can get. Tripoding up is Ashnault. Switching sides, Meredith has that tight waist and the right arm hooked. Gets out of position and giving up the reversal. Now 4-3. It's a 1-point match. Critical mistake. You learn in first grade, give up 1 before you give up 2. But at the same time, credit Ashnault. It's one thing at this level. I make a lot of baseball comparisons. Final seconds. And the ride out for Ashnault. But you make a mistake against a major league hitter by an inch, he'll hit it 405 feet. And at this level, you get out of position, heavy consequences. 4-3, good action in the first period. Meredith will go on bottom.
And you credited Ashnault. Great job, because that's him continuing to push the pace here. 22 seconds left. He knew there was still time on the clock, continued to work around. And what I was curious to see is that right leg, the knee heavily taped for Bryce Meredith, and that got caught under his rear end. So let's pay attention to that as the match starts going into the third period.
Meredith to his feet. And Ashnault going to sit right there on the edge, building riding time. He's in good position. And now out of bounds, back to the center with 1:37. This is the first ever participants for Rutgers. We saw Kreiser, a Campbell first, and now a Rutgers first with Ashnault. And Ashnault, one of those guys, you look at Scott Goodale and what a great job he has done, but Ashnault is the centerpiece of that program. When they got Ashnault, that spoke volumes. And talking to Anthony earlier, he said, hey, I got my family, I got everything right here. Everything is in place for me to win a national title at Rutgers. He could have won anywhere in the country. He chose to stay home. And that was a huge get for this Rutgers program. And they got a new room that's in the works and excited about it. They got a big event coming up on November 19th. That is the Battle at the Birthplace. It'll be Rutgers versus Princeton, a morning duel in the football stadium. And later that night, it'll be Rutgers, Penn State in Big Ten football. But those are the kind of things I love to see. We saw it last year at Iowa with the battle on the gridiron with the Hawkeyes and Oklahoma State. New ideas, getting people excited about the sport. There's an escape. 5-3. Meredith up by a pair. Best attack here, but this is where Meredith is so tough. He is so dangerous. And that's got to get inside your head a little bit. When you have a great attack on a guy and he scores from that attack, that's got to get inside your head a little bit.
And he hasn't been too offensive. He scores a lot from the defensive position. But when you get in these tight matches, you have to dig deep and try and find some offense of your own.
And Ashnault, they're able to scoop that left ankle of Meredith, and we are tied up at 5.
And that's been the fourth shot to that right leg of Bryce Meredith. So Anthony Ashnault finding something that Bryce Meredith's not fixing, and that's that right leg defense. So he's scoring off these takedowns from that right side.
Meredith as a runner-up this past March for Mark Branch. Coach Branch in his 9th season at the helm of the Cowboys, and Meredith was trying to become the first national champion for Wyoming since Nick Bollinger did it back in 1960 at 167 pounds. Seeing some good action in these matches. Guys not protecting things, coming out, opening things up, putting some points on the board. Short time in the second. To the third period we go. Ashnault with choice, and the Scarlet Knight Jr. will go on bottom. Mark Branch, national champion for Oklahoma State. There you get a look at Scott Goodale. And also in the corner for Ashnault is Donnie Pritzlaff, two-time national champion for Barry Davis and the Badgers back in the early 2000s. Couple epic battles with Cyclone Joe Heskett. Remember those matches well. I was talking to Donnie earlier tonight. He wrestled in this classic back in 2001, and he said then it was in January, but we talked about this at the start of the broadcast. What an honor and a privilege it was. He said when you were invited to this, there was no doubt about it. You were going to wrestle here. He said it was on a Monday night that year, the night before the Badgers wrestled at Carver Hawkeye Arena. He said we wrestled that duel. I got on a plane, flew to Baltimore, and that next night was wrestling Joe Heskett again. 6-6. Just under a minute and a half remaining here in this third period. But I really respect that. I respect guys that seek those challenges. They want to be challenged. They want to wrestle the best. It's an opportunity. Iron sharpens iron.
And I did hear that Dean Heil wanted Zane Rutherford. So that's pretty interesting to hear. Of course, you can't always get what you want, and I don't understand. I understand they're at different weight classes, so why would you want to do that? But maybe for the fans.
50 seconds. We're 6-6 here in this match at 141 pounds. Meredith, number 2 in the country, and Ashnault, number 4. Joey McKenna of Stanford, sophomore, sandwiched in between the number 3 spot in the rankings. So he was able to pull the trigger. There's an attack again by Ashnault.
We saw it last match. Just because it's 20 seconds left doesn't mean that we're heading directly to overtime.
Got to maintain great position. Can't get lazy. Oftentimes when you get fatigued, you get lazy in your position. And as I said, when you do that, stiff consequences. It appears, Eric, we're going to go to sudden victory with just 5 seconds. I'm a big body language guy. Who's back to the center first? Whose hands are on their elbows, hands on the hips? Anybody dropping down to the mat? And sudden victory, 1 minute placed on the clock. Meredith quickly back to the center, a slap of the hand of Ashnault. Good early season test for both these guys. There's Meredith on a single leg.
Has to keep those knees underneath him. Doing a good job of tucking that leg. Understanding where he's at is going to be crucial here.
Good scramble at the edge here in sudden victory. Great action, both these guys. Solid wrestling. The crowd's going to let them hear it. Rightfully so. 34 seconds. At one time, Meredith was up 4-1 on the strength of 2 takedowns. Nice shot there from Ashnault. Got to finish quick against the guy who's going to scoop up the legs. And there is your takedown for Anthony Ashnault in sudden victory. Ashnault over Meredith, 8-6.